right, today we're going to be doing some very, very fun activities, and you're going to be up and moving and doing some group work. But the first thing I want to focus on is our I can statement. So, can I get a volunteer to come up, and you are going to have to use your magnifying glass to try and find it. Hold on, you go over here. All right, I am going to choose Julia. You found it! All right, Julia, can you actually stay up there for me? And if you were able to, you can use that to read it, or it's actually also over here on the side here. What does it say for us?
Use text evidence when explaining what the text says.
Very good. We are going to use text evidence when explaining what the text says right here for us. Right. What do we mean by that? Text evidence. I know we've talked about this a lot. We do daily close reads every night. What is text evidence, and why do we need to use it? Bailey? Okay, we use context clues when we're finding text evidence. Very good. Matt?
We use text evidence to help support our answer.
We do. That is a fabulous answer. Let's see. Kara, can you grab the clipboard and give him a bonus?
Yeah.
Thank you. Good answer. We use text evidence to support our answers, but why? Why do we need to support our answers? What's the purpose of that? Kyla? Right, and you are using things taken right from the story, right? Very good. And Demas?
It's like if someone asks you, if someone tells you I don't believe that's the right answer, you can go back to the text and if it's highlighted.
Yes, we use it to prove our answers. Detectives have to provide evidence. Can they just say, oh, this case is closed, I already know, they did it, they're guilty. Are they allowed to do that, Kaylee? You have to have proof, you have to have evidence, and that is what we are all about today. Okay, so my little detectives, I want you to keep your eyes up on the board because I'm going to go through the instructions for our activity. Right, so 2 days ago we read a story in Storyworks. Can anyone remind me what it was about? It was really fun. Justin?
It was about two girls getting stuck in the woods and a rescue dog coming to snip them out.
Very good. And what genre was it? Bryce? Close. Part of it, narrative nonfiction. There you go. But what does narrative nonfiction mean? I want to review this real quick because some of your questions talk about this. Kara?
Narrative nonfiction means it's telling a story while also giving you facts.
Very good. It's telling you a story while also giving you facts. Give yourself a bonus. Very good. So our story was right here in Storyworks. You guys can all flip to this page, page 4 and 5. Each group will get a clipboard. It's going to look like this. So it's going to have your detective team number on it with a folder, an envelope. In your envelope, you're going to get 3 questions. So case number 1, case number 2, and case number 3. You are going to use those questions for your graphic organizer. Be a text detective. So good readers are text detectives. They prove their answers using text evidence. Complete the chart below to prove your answers. All of your cases have to deal with this story that you've already read. Okay? So we are going to be using the skill of rereading to provide our text evidence. You will place your questions right here. You're going to write them in. your group will find the answer to each question. So that's more of your opinion. What is the answer? All right? And then the text evidence is coming straight from the story. You're going to use page numbers, and like Mrs. Berry says, sometimes it's like you're peeling it off the page and sticking it on there. Okay? Word for word, whatever the text says is your text evidence. Okay, let me put these back. Also in there, you will find a chief detective card. So I've already decided who our chief detectives are for the groups. You have to make sure the detective is speaking. If the detectives are speaking, they have to be holding a magnifying glass. So the only one who's allowed to speak in your group is the one holding the magnifying glass. Okay? And your leader can pass that around, your chief detective. Right? You have a checklist of how to complete it. We already went through, you're answering 1, 2, and 3 questions. After that, you're going to go back to your graphic organizer, decide which is your strongest case, which one do you have the best text evidence for, okay? And that is where you're going to write on your prove it page. Okay? I have an example I will show you in just 1 second. Okay, so there's your prove it page. So those are your steps. If you don't remember what your steps are, what can you do? Kieran?
Ask a neighbor.
You could ask someone in your group, but what else? What am I giving you that's a really useful tool? Julia? Reread. Kaylee?
Checklist.
You have a checklist, exactly. You have a checklist with you that you can look off of, okay? So this checklist that's up here tells you exactly what to do. When you're done with everything, the final phase is to complete your exit slip, right? And you will see what that is in your envelope. All right, let me show you my example. Right here, my question, which none of you have this in your envelope, was when were Sammy and Allie found? So this wasn't stated directly in the text. This was called an inference. Good job, Sean. The girls were found at 8 p.m. that night was my answer, but that's not what it said in the text. In the text, my clues were page 6, the girls were dropped off at 3 p.m. Page 8, Allie and Sammy had been, what would come after that? Gavin?
5 hours.
Good, they had been lost for 5 hours when Maddie found them. So that was on page 8. So those would be my 2 text evidence. Now, I might say that's my strongest case. And I would put on my prove it page, in sentence form, complete sentences, Sammy and Allie were found at 8 p.m. On page 6, it said the girls were dropped off at 3. On page 8, it said Allie and Sammy had been missing for 5 hours when Maddie arrived on the scene. What questions do you have for this activity? I'm going to be putting you in groups. Bryce?
It was already.
Oh, what groups? Yep, I've already got your groups and everything ready. So when you hear the music, after I assign your groups, that's when you'll move to the spots that I've told you, okay? All right, are you ready to learn your detective teams?
Yes.
All right, so I've got detective team number 2. Chief detective is Gavin, all right? So just listen, we need both Annas in that group, Kieran, Matt, and Justin and Dustin. Okay?
Which Matt?
You. Detective Team 3. I need Tessa, Kyla, Logan, Sean, Nate, Demas, and Owen. Okay? And Tessa is the, where are you, Tessa? You are the team detective chief person. Right. Detective Team 4. I need Kara, Cora, Liam, Ava, Sean, and Matthew. Hey, Matthew? Okay, and Detective Team 1, I need... Raise your hand if you weren't called yet.
Who's our chief detective?
You. All right, so Bailey, Bryce, Kaylee, Kira, Julia, Seamus, and Leo, you are my group number 1. So group number 1, 2, 3, 4. Those are your spots. Does that make sense?
In the groups.
Yes.
In your desk.
So all of group 1, that's the group I just called, you're going to move over here, okay, in your desk. Group number 2 is going to go right here. Group number 3 and group number 4 in the back. Kira, do you have a question? For you guys, it is Bailey. Okay. All right. Get ready for the music. It's over here. Music down. All right. Pretend there was music. Ready? Go. All right, Bailey, you are the chief detective. Here's the magnifying glass for your group. Yes, it is. Yes, she is. Hold on, I've got some. Just leave this here for now. I'll be back. Julia, you have your anthem? Julia? You can give bonuses too. Okay? Yeah, you can keep the clipboard there. They'll just write it down separately. All right, I'm going to pull you guys over. Yes, ma'am. Bailey is our chief detective. So, Bailey, what are your jobs?
Justin, let's let the chief detective come in. Thank you. Just click that.
Very good.
Julia, isn't that, do you want to get your FM? She has.
Detectives. Very good. Okay, so why don't you pass everything out in this envelope? We have all of our questions. Actually, I think because I use those. There you go. Everyone needs one of each of these, okay? So go ahead and pass those out while I check in with the other groups. You will use those at the end, so they come in the final part of it. So you can pass them out now, but just don't worry about them.
Okay.
Right?
It says strong sentence stems. On page blank, it said, in paragraph blank, it said, I know
You got your questions in there? Just real quick, right here, it says strong sentence stems when you provide the text evidence.
So we'll put
You
this
can say
for
on
chief
page blank
detective, and if you need to borrow it,
or I know because, and that's when you use your text evidence. So this kind of comes into play with the proof that when you start to right?
and that's
Go
where
ahead.
you guys decide your strongest case is. Alright, that's
Are we
your
all
best
set on
one.
here?
This everybody has, right? And we're gonna kind of start to do that.
All right, my group, do we all have a checklist?
Forget that.
And our graphic organizer with our names on.
Check it off as you do each one, okay? So right now,
What is the first thing on our
you're gonna
checklist to
be
do?
in phase one.
Bailey, you're our chief
Question
detective.
number 1. Okay, and your chief detective is gonna read it to you.
We're gonna find question number 1, right? And write it down.
What's your first question? How did you first piece? Is the section nose to the ground informational or emotional? We know it's both, right?
Want me to read
But what
that
does it mean?
a couple of times so that you have time to write it down?
Or is it more of a, no, I just.
Okay, let me read it a couple of times. Kira. You got it. H-O-W. O-W says how. Okay, so case number 1 says, how did Mrs. Ferry feel?
Very good. We talked about that. Okay, so you
Oh,
can tell what
thank
part of
you.
the text
You remember.
is narrative, right? And what sections are nonfiction. Right? So if you were ever to be stuck with a question like this, that's exactly what you would do. Is you
How does
just
Mrs.
read
Ferry
the text.
feel when she
Okay,
arrived?
so extraordinary powers, is that nonfiction? Informational? This whole section is, okay?
When
And
she
passing the
arrived,
test,
just
that's
do your best with
informational.
spelling.
And goes to the ground. That's where the
She
story
picked up the
starts,
girls,
right?
and they were not there.
Yeah. And in the beginning. So I don't know, guys, do you think it's more narrative or more nonfiction?
And they were not there.
Okay, now you have to find your evidence. And did your chief detective explain these awesome things? This is for when you get to your prove it. So when you're writing your prove it, use some of these sentences. Okay? This does not have to be
Hey,
complete sentences.
what do you think our first step is?
But it does have to have page numbers documented.
Julia.
Nope.
We bring
This
our
does not have,
question
this
down.
is just your ideas with evidence, but you do need to have your page numbers, okay? So prove it.
So we need
Prove
to
that
use
you
the
think it's more
strategy of
narrative.
rereading.
Text evidence, I want you to
Okay.
list the sections
Where
that are
do you think
narrative.
they talked about this question? Beginning, middle, end? Haley?
I think it's the middle because first talk about they go to
Okay, a lot of the stuff in the middle was what? Narrative or information? So it's probably not in the middle of the text, right? It was probably at the beginning on that one. What page? What page is that on, Grace? Page 6. So what we're going to do here, once you're finished writing that question, is turn to page 6 and start looking for how did Mrs. Ferry feel? How do you think she felt? Does anyone have any ideas? You've already read the story. What do you think, Kira? Okay, Kira says she feels scared. She probably feels worried. That could be your answer. And then you have to find your text evidence. So, Chief Detective, I'm giving this back to you. I'm going to go circle around with the other groups real quick. You guys start working. Yes. I agree. Yeah, just hold it and make sure that you have the microphone. Point it towards you. Sorry, Leah.
I also think it's upset.
Good morning, students. Want to let you know, make sure you bundle up and wear hats, coats, and gloves to lunch. We will be going outside, and third grade especially, I know fourth and fifth graders understand this, we are not picking up snow. So have fun, but make sure that you're safe. We're not picking up snow. Thank you.
Okay, how are we doing?
Okay, so what case
Good.
question are you trying to answer? Is the section
Right,
goes
yeah,
to the ground
right. Does it seem a little more
Is that more
difficult?
narrative or more nonfiction?
It is a big question, isn't it?
Okay, so.
It kind of is. They're related.
Okay, so
So,
the question
you know,
is,
take your time, look
is
for that
the
text
section
evidence.
goes to
Ready to go?
more narrative or more nonfiction? Would you like to pass the question around?
Really work as a group. You've got lots of brain power here. That's how detectives work. They work in a team and
You can borrow
together.
one of mine, Tessa.
I think that was an incredible road
How are we doing?
Okay, so you're looking at a specific section and we decided it was a more narrative piece. That's why.
Remember when you're answering questions, try not to use words like it or they or said. You want to, don't use the dead words, right? And also, it and they, those are pronouns. Make sure you say, is it Sammy and Allie? Is it Mary? What are you talking about?
make something narrative.
Exactly. Good job, Eva. I think you guys have got it.
Oh, you're allowed to underline it.
Oh, good question. Hang on 1 second. Let me grab the magnifying glass. Class.
Yes.
Julia asked a fabulous question. She said, are we allowed to underline it? Yes, you may underline or highlight, whichever one you prefer. And I think that's a great idea when you're finding text evidence. Good job, Julia. Thank you for reminding us.
Can they write question 1, 2, and 3?
Yes.
Or do they have to write the question?
They should write just question 1 and 2.
As long as the chief detective has it written.
Yeah. Oh, I like that. Yeah, very good.
Change of plans. As long as the chief detective has the question written down, you guys can just put a 1, 2, and 3. So the chief has to know what one.
There you go. Raise your hand.
That section we decided is more of
What did she miss say? I wasn't here for that. Beamed? For what? How she feels? Beamed? Where'd you get that? Oh. Anxious, scared, those are all very good descriptive words for how she feels. You know what? Why don't all of you write down your own adjective for how she feels? All right, why don't all of you write down your own adjective for how she feels under your answer? And then under text evidence, I think Leo found something that he might want to share with the group. So Leo, did everyone hear that?
Yeah.
Everyone heard that? Did you hear that? Kira? So tell me, what page was that on? Down at the bottom, right? Okay, so remember, Kira, are you copying this word for word from the text? Remember, you're going to copy exactly what it says under your text evidence. Julia. Yes.
I didn't know. I thought I write the text evidence. I found the same thing Leo found. Should I write page 6 of what I found?
I love it. Julia says, let's put page 6, and Bryce did it on page 6. And then you are going to copy exactly what it said. Do you have to copy the whole thing? No, you might copy, for example, panic rising. Does that show that she's feeling anxious? You could copy down where it said, Allie, Sammy, where she's screaming or shouting at them. That shows that she's getting scared and nervous. Very good, Kira. Genius, you're getting this down? Right. Chief Detective, I'm giving this back to you. Here we go. Good job working as a team. You could do that. Would that be good text evidence showing that they're nervous or scared? Yes, you only call 911 when you're in a situation where something's gone wrong. Very good.
Paragraph
5.
Make sure when you have the magnifying glass,
Panicking, rising. She shouted, Allie, Sammy, calling 911. That one was
for neurodiversity. Okay, so what was your first two? Charlie, you said you thought about something.